Alfonso Cuarón is undeniably one of the greatest directors of the past 50 years. And he described modern cinema as cinema being held hostage to narrative. And in this film, he sets out to reverse that. He describes this film as narrative held hostage to cinema. And I can see why. Children of Men takes place in a world where human beings can't have babies anymore. In the book, it's the men that are infertile. In the film, I don't know why Alfonso Cuarón changed it, but he did. The women are infertile. Not that this has any bearing on the narrative at all. It's still the same narrative. The last baby born was 19 years before the start of the film. The film takes place in the year 2027 in a Britain that is ravaged with social strife. It is one of the only remaining functioning countries in the world. Every other nation state, it seems, has collapsed, although you are kind of led to sort of doubt this in certain senses, purely and simply because there's no exposition given about it really. It's all done in the background. It's all done in like adverts, you see. The film follows two main characters really. Theo Farron, played by Clive Owen, perfectly cast, perfectly acted by him. He's a disillusioned former activist, and he becomes sort of entangled in this mission to protect our other protagonist, Key, played by Claire Hope Ashity. And she is secretly the first pregnant woman in 18 years. And our film follows these two as they navigate a society, a Britain, a world on the brink of collapse. The film contains these great themes of hope, redemption, faith, and the complexities what infertility bring to not just people on a personal level, but on a global level. It is a genuinely thought-provoking narrative. I first saw the film when I was about 20 years old, a long time before I had children of my own, and at the time the idea of having children to me was just anathema. I just couldn't think of anything I'd rather do less. Yet the film put the hook in me. It made me, in some ways, despair. One, and if not, to be honest with you, the most amazing aspects of this film is its visual language. It's a language of despair and hope. Children of Men showcases Alfonso Cuarón's mastery of visual storytelling. It embraces this stark dichotomy between despair and fleeting hope. The cinematography actually is by Emmanuel Lubezki. I think I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but it just captures the desolation of a crumbling world while subtly highlighting these moments of beauty and brilliance throughout the film. And resilience as well. It the film has these amazing juxtapositions of long takes and frenetic action sequences. It immerses the audience in this sort of raw and chaotic reality, and it just amplifies the emotional impact of Theo and Key's journey. The film has this kind of unspoken depth. It lacks any exposition, really. You get the bare minimum of exposition you need to understand the film, and it's not hidden from you. You are treated as a grown up, and you can follow the film. But one of the films, it's really notable that one of the strengths of these films, and his film in particular, lies in its ability to just convey deep meaning without relying on dialogue or explicit exposition. Cuarón embraces the power of visual storytelling, allowing us to interpret and glean these tiny insights from what he chooses to show you on the screen. It's like Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick was a filmmaker that controlled every aspect of what was on the screen at the time. We've seen this in documentaries they've made about The Shining, for instance, and the amount of time. I mean, let's face facts, 2001: A Space Odyssey, I'm digressing, is 60 years old, and people are still dissecting it for its visual language. And Cuarón does this masterfully in this film. There's loads of subtle cues and symbolism and little nuances to the performance, like the character of Theo, Clive Owen, is subtly done, but he is just a shambles of a man, and he's a heavy drinker. He's drinking throughout the entire film. He's an alcoholic, and the film invites you, without any exposition, to just actively engage in its themes. And as I've said before, these are themes of, in this desolate world, these themes of hope and redemption and faith in a world where mankind is on its last generation. Children of Men uses the concept of infertility as a metaphorical lens to explore the human condition. The inability to conceive children just becomes this hugely potent symbol of humanity's struggle for meaning and continuity, and it's amidst this backdrop, the characters grapple with their own personal demons. And when I've spoken to you a moment ago about redemption, is that this is where redemption happens throughout the film. Everybody's fighting something, but everybody's finding these fragments of hope in the most unlikely of places throughout the film. And we see this when they get to Bexhill, which is it's like a refugee town on the south coast of England. It's where the government is rounding up all the refugees and shipping them off into this town. It's like I wouldn't say it's like a concentration camp, but it's where they put them, and they've got this an entire town, and in that town there's the French refugees, and then there's the Ugandan refugees, and then there's the American refugees, and the Russian ones, and the Spanish ones, and the South African ones, and the Brazilian ones. All these separate, disparate groups with the one thing in common, and our characters find themselves at this point in the Russian building, and they're amongst these refugees, and again, the nuances and the subtlety of the storytelling are there for you to see. And these people help. These people have nothing to offer. They are the lowest rung of society, and they help. And it just shows the fragility of life, but at the same time, it encourages you to contemplate your own morality, your own mortality, and the importance of cherishing and the preciousness of life. It wouldn't be an Hollywood sci-fi blockbuster without lashes of religious symbolism and themes of faith do permeate Children of Men. And I keep saying the word redemption, but it's true. The characters are constantly seeking solace and redemption and purpose within a society that has largely abandoned traditional beliefs. And you do see the kind of reactionary religious beliefs sort of shown throughout the film. You see people self-flagellating as if they're like medieval monks kind of thing in Trafalgar Square, and you've got other religious groups and whatnot about the place. But the film examines the resilience of that faith in the face of just overwhelming despair. It is bleak. It does offer these kind of glimpses of spiritual transcendence amongst the chaos. It poses philosophical questions about the role of religion and the human need for belief systems during times of crisis. Although I personally take a humanist view on almost everything. So I keep saying the word redemption because I do think that is an overarching theme of this film. That's how I interpret the film. But that's just my interpretation. Again, this channel is a personal view. But it's one of those films that, because there's very little exposition in the dialogue, it's almost like a pick your own adventure story in that sense, and you can make your own interpretations of it. I've watched this film with conservatives, and I've watched it with liberals, and they've all drawn different conclusions from it. But for me, it's about the redemption of the human spirit. Children of Men portrays characters grappling with their own shortcomings, their own traumas, and their own regrets, and they're searching for redemption and a chance at personal transformation. The film explores potential for hope and renewal, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Through the individual journeys, the characters find moments of grace and purpose, and you are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit in that. So I chose to make this quick video about Children of Men today. It's a video I've been meaning to make for a while, actually. And I've only just realised as I'm actually recording it that I'm going to probably release this on Father's Day, ironically enough. I didn't choose to make the video today for that reason at all. I chose to make this video and to focus on the infertility theme of the film and the religious theme and whatnot, and to focus on it briefly because I want to make a longer form video about Children of Men in the future where I cover all aspects of it. And there is so much going on within that film. You can focus on just all the background elements to it. Other much better YouTube like YouTubers have done much better videos than me about it, and I encourage you to go and watch them, and I encourage you to go and watch the film. And I'm going to explain my next statement here. Sometimes it seems life can imitate art, and I'm not passing comment on immigration or anything like that when I make this comment. I'm talking about the infertility, because since 2020, global levels of human fertility have just slumped, and it is going to pose huge social and political problems in the future. The reason for the collapse is actually simple. It's people are choosing to leave it later to have children. People can't afford to have children living in cities. Peter Zion said it best. When he said that having children, when you move from the countryside to the city, go from being financial assets to being expensive pets. And trust me, I know, I've got 4 of them. And that film, just on that sense alone, just seems so prescient to me. And it's been sticking in my mind because on a personal level, I have seen headlines like in my local borough of London, they're closing schools because there's just not enough children to warrant these schools being open, and that's a tragedy. London, it seems, ironically enough, given the film is set mainly in London, is becoming a necropolis. Now, whether you love children or loathe children, or your life is full of meaning with or without having children, that's up to you. But again, personal view. The idea of growing up in the city or living in a city where the laughter and shenanigans and misbehaviour and chaos what children bring is absent is just tragic. It's not horrifying, it's more than horrifying. It is utterly tragic. It's one of the most saddest thoughts in the world. The thought of walking past a park and not hearing the joy of laughter, not getting on a train or a bus to work in the morning and getting annoyed at the teenagers sitting at the back being rowdy and making a noise. That to me is a world that ain't worth living in, and it ain't worth preserving. Anyway.